students, in previous module we have studied about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. In that module we learnt that Swachh Bharat Abhiyan program is going on in two modes. One is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan for rural areas and second is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan for urban areas. If we go little back to 1981, the census report of 1981 reported that hardly 1% population of the rural parts of the country is having access to the toilets. Since then, Government of India has made efforts to make rural India clean and healthy for the residents of the rural parts of India. So, these targets to make India clean, to make India open defecation free cannot be achieved as long as we do not have technological options with us. You also know that all technical options cannot be used in all situations. What technological option will be used for the waste management in a particular area, in a particular locality, in a particular village or in a particular country, that will depend on several factors such as climate, economic status, the kind of activities done by the people of that area, whether they are involved in business, whether they are involved in agriculture, etc., etc. So, keeping this all in view, in this module we shall be discussing about technological options which are available for waste management in rural areas. When we talk about waste management, we are going to discuss in brief about technological options for solid waste management as well as technological options available for liquid waste management in rural areas of India, because if we do not do these both kind of waste management, that time it will really be difficult for us to have clean and healthy environment for the rural citizens. So, with this background, the learning objectives of this module are to know about different types of waste generated in rural areas, because once we know that what kind of waste are generated, what are the characteristics of the waste, only then we can decide that which technical option is better suited. Then we will be learning technological options available for solid waste treatment and disposal, and then we will be discussing technological options available for liquid waste treatment and disposal. During these technological discussion, we also discuss merits and demerits of different technological options. Water, sanitation and hygiene. These three directly impact human health and have far reaching effects or consequences if these are ignored. India is one of the fastest developing economies, but when it comes to the sanitation, water and hygiene indicator, it continues to lag behind. With a population of over 1.3 billion, there is a mounting and urgent need to address the sanitation issue. In previous module, you have studied in detail that what efforts are going on at national level and what efforts in past have been made for the waste management in rural parts of India. Solid and liquid waste management is one of the key components of Swachh Bharat Mission Rural that was launched to have cleanliness, hygiene and better quality of life in rural areas. As we discussed earlier, as long as we do not know what is waste and its classification, it will be really difficult to apply any technology for its management. So, waste is any unwanted or unusable substance that is discarded after primary use by the user. Wastes are generated from human as well as animal activities. Waste can be divided in a number of ways. The most common classification of waste is based on the phase in which waste is present. Depending on the phase, waste can be divided as solid waste, liquid waste and gaseous waste. So, let me come to the solid waste. Solid waste is any unwanted material disposed by human activities that can neither flow in water streams and nor escapes into atmosphere immediately in gaseous form is called as solid waste. Solid waste generation rates and characteristics differ from community to community depending on the lifestyle, climate, economic status, industrial activities, agricultural activities, etc. The details of solid waste you have already studied in the first week of this MOOC course in module number 1, 2 and 3. Solid waste are generated from a number of sources. The various sources from which solid waste are generated are shown in this figure, and these sources include agricultural sources, municipality services, construction and demolition activities, then waste treatment sites and treatment plants of wastewater, then residential areas, commercial activities, institutions and industries all produce solid waste. As this module is on rural areas, let me come to the sources of solid waste in rural areas. In rural areas, there are two major sources of the solid waste. One is household waste that is generated from our various domestic activities, and second one is commercial and industrial waste that is generated from different commercial activities that are going on in the rural areas. Household waste may contain food waste, animal waste or animal excreta, then recyclable materials like plastic, metal, glass, etc. Then non-recyclable materials, then agricultural waste, that is crop residues and street sweepings. Whereas commercial and industrial waste may contain institutional waste, the waste generated by different institutions located in the rural areas, then waste generated by the rural industries, then waste generated by the shops and business activities, and then waste generated by the slaughter houses. So, these are the major sources of solid waste in the rural areas. If we come to the liquid waste sources in rural area, again the liquid waste sources can be divided into two categories. One are the domestic sources and second are non-domestic sources. The domestic sources mainly produce sewage and sewage, whereas non-domestic sources may be industries, may be institutions as well as agricultural activities. Industries may produce toxic liquid waste as well as non-toxic liquid waste, whereas institution produce generally sewage and sewage, whereas agricultural activities mainly produce water runoff. About 960 million tons of solid waste is generated annually in India as byproduct of various activities going on in industries, mining, municipalities, agriculture and other processes. Dear student, one thing remember that this 960 million ton is not constant, this is going to increase with time because the development is going on in the country, economic status of the people is increasing in the country. It has also been estimated that rural people in India are generating liquid waste, that is grey water. You might be knowing the difference in grey water and black water. Grey water is that waste water that is generated from our houses other than the toilets. That waste water is called as grey water, whereas the waste water that is generated by the toilets is called as black water. So, the total quantity of liquid waste, that is grey water, generated in India is approximately 15,000 to 18,000 million liters, and solid waste, that is mainly organic and recyclable, of the order of 0.3 to 0.4 million metric tons per day. So, we can say that huge quantities of the solid waste are generated in rural India, and most of this is organic or biodegradable or putrefiable in nature. Let me have a look on the key waste streams in rural areas. First, we have a look on the solid waste. So, the solid waste in rural areas contain food waste, that is mainly coming from the domestic activities, and that is mainly part of the domestic waste. Then animal fecal matter, that is animal dung, that is also produced in large quantities in rural areas. Then sweepings from the houses as well as from the streets. Sweepings include dust, soil, stones, dry organic matter, etc. Then dry waste. Dry waste in rural areas contain paper, plastic, glass, metals, wood, etc. And then agricultural waste. Agricultural waste mainly contain crop residues, crop processing waste, etc. Now, let me come to the liquid waste. Liquid waste is mainly divided into two categories, grey water and black water. You know, grey water is that water that is generated from our kitchens and bathing activity, whereas black water is that water that is generated from the toilets. This table is on waste generation rates in rural areas. Let me come to the domestic waste. In domestic waste, major component is food waste, and in rural areas, food waste generation is approximately 200 to 600 gram per capita per day, and dry waste generation rate in rural areas is 125 to 350 gram per capita per day. Dear students, you know the population of country and you know the percentage of rural population in the country. Based upon that, you can calculate approximate quantities of the domestic waste generated in India. Let me come to the animal waste. Buffalo and cows, each animal produce 8 to 10 kilogram of dung every day, whereas smaller animals like goat and sheep, they produce about 0.2 to 0.7 kilogram waste per animal per day. And from street sweepings and house sweepings, 250 gram to 750 gram per capita per day waste is generated in India. Dear students, if you are in a rural area, please calculate the approximate quantity of waste generated for your village based upon this data. We know that to decide upon the technical option to be used for waste management, we must know the constituents present in the solid waste. So, this table shows the percentage of different constituents which are present in the solid waste that is produced in rural areas of India. Indian rural solid waste contains 55 to 75% biodegradable material, and this is non-toxic in nature. 20 to 30% recyclable material, this is also non-toxic in, generally non-toxic in nature, and Indian rural solid waste contains 5 to 10% of inert materials. This is mainly dust, stones, etc. Those are coming from the sweepings. So, based upon this composition, we can decide the kind of method that can be used for the solid waste disposal in rural areas. Let me have a look on the traditional methods of solid waste disposal used in rural areas. The most common method of solid waste disposal in rural areas is open dumping. In this case, the heaps of the waste are made in the outskirts of the village by the households, and once or twice in a year that waste is dug out and used as manure in the agricultural fields. The second very common traditional method of to get rid of waste is open burning. You know, open burning is very dangerous method. This method leads to the air pollution. The third most common method is disposal of solid waste in the water bodies nearby the village. This may be village pond or this may be nearby some river or canal. And fourth most common method in rural areas to get rid of solid waste is disposal of solid waste in agricultural fields. This is also very dangerous. Dear student, you have already studied in module number 3 the harmful effects of the traditional methods of waste disposal. So, I will suggest you to please have a relook on the harmful effects of these non-scientific methods of solid waste disposal. Let me have a look on the traditional methods used for liquid waste disposal in rural areas. In rural areas, liquid waste is disposed generally in a pit near the house, or this is disposed in open near the house. and these both methods are not recommended methods, because these methods attract the different pathogens, different vectors, different disease causing organisms, house flies, etc. Then in villages it has been seen that the liquid waste is generally left unattended in the streets or in the street drains. Sometimes village waste is disposed in the village water bodies like pond or nearby river or nearby canal. Sometimes liquid waste of the village is used in agricultural fields for irrigation. Importance of waste management. Now, the question arises, what is the importance of waste management? We get several benefits if we do proper waste management. Some of the benefits of waste management are health benefits from safe disposal of waste that would otherwise contaminate the environment and may affect the human health. Then economic benefits and environmental benefits through reuse, recycling of products that would otherwise be discarded as waste. Another benefit is aesthetic benefit for a clean environment. What are the basic principles of solid waste management? Segregation of waste at household level, reuse of recyclable materials, waste treatment at household if land is available to the household, then community systems for the treatment and disposal of waste if land is not available to the household. Generally, it is said that waste should be managed at household level if the land is available. Waste should go to the community systems only if the land is not available to the households. Then technical choices to be limited to those that are simple, easy to maintain and not very capital intensive and operation intensive. And people should have habit to use the process waste like compost, biogas, etc. All technologies cannot be used for all kind of waste. So, what are the criteria for selection of technology for waste treatment? There are several criteria, and these criteria include availability of space near houses and housing pattern in a rural area, geophysical condition of the village including topography, soil structure and groundwater conditions. Then sources and pattern of water supply, whether there is an individual water supply system, whether there is a public water supply system. Then availability of common space in and around the village. So, from this we can decide whether this common space can be used for community systems or not. Economic status and human resources available with the Gram Panchayat, because if human resource is not available with the Gram Panchayat, that time it will really be difficult for the Gram Panchayat to have a community system for waste management. This flow chart diagram shows different type of technological options available for solid waste management. Now, from the discussion that we have done till now, we can say that there can be two type of waste management systems in the rural areas. One can be household management systems and second can be community waste management systems. Depending upon the composition of the waste which we studied just now, we can say that biological methods are best suited to the household waste management in the rural areas, whereas for community waste management, again because this is the same waste, biological methods are an option, and for non biodegradable waste recycling is the another option. So, what are the biological solid waste treatment and disposal methods available to us? One of the method is composting. Composting you have already studied in detail. In case of composting, the waste can be converted into manure and that manure can be used in our agricultural fields to maintain the soil fertility and soil health. There are several types of composting methods, and these methods are NADEP method of composting, Bangalore method of composting and Indore method of composting. Although you have studied these methods in previous module of composting, but here in this module we will be discussing these methods in brief. Another biological method that is available to us for the treatment and disposal of solid waste is vermicomposting. This also you have studied in detail. And third option that is available to us is production of biogas from the organic fraction of the solid waste. This also has been studied by you in detail. As far as liquid waste is concerned, a number of options are available for the liquid waste management in rural areas at community level. And these wastewater treatment technologies include waste stabilization pond system, duckweed pond system, constructed wetland, upflow anaerobic sludge blanket, anaerobic baffled filter systems, package aeration system, sequencing batch reactor system and soil biotechnology. Let me have a look on different methods which we have suggested for rural areas. First, let me come to the NADEP method. In NADEP method, composting takes place in a rectangular brick tank with aeration holes. Organic material is added in layers and compost is ready in almost 3 months. If we come to the advantages of NADEP method, in this method composting can be done on a large scale than using piles. In this method, all nutrients are retained in the tank, so resulting compost is more nutrient rich. Disadvantages of this method include tanks work in 3-month rotation, so we need at least 2 tanks, and if we need 2 tanks, certainly the cost of the process is going to increase. Large quantities of soil and water are needed that can be difficult to transport in some areas, or somewhere this water may not be available. In this method, the entire tank should be filled within a maximum of 48-hour period. Conditions for use of NADEP method. In this method, tanks can be built in all conditions. The thatched roof protects the tank from the moisture or rain. Tank should be monitored to check for cracking of seal that would allow moisture to escape. Tanks require space and a lot of initial material, so a community approach is better, using a communal space for the tank and agreeing the date for bringing material and filling the tank. Second composting method can be Bangalore method of composting. In this method, waste is composted anaerobically in a pit. In this method, compost is ready in 6 to 8 months. If we come to the advantages of Bangalore method of composting, so in this method, household waste and night soil, that is the fecal matter of human beings, can be used as raw material. This method is good for dry areas. If we come to the disadvantages, this method cannot be used in wet areas as the pit may become waterlogged. Gases produced during Bangalore method can smell and the pit requires quite a large space. In this process, composting process is slow. Conditions for use of Bangalore method of composting. This method useful in areas where the use of piles is limited by severe weather conditions, for example, strong winds and sun. This method can be done at the household level where space is available. This method is very cheap as compared to tank methods, as no infrastructure is required in the Bangalore method of composting. Another approach is Indore method of composting. In this method, waste is cut into small pieces and separate in 10 to 15 centimeter thick layers above ground in a pit. In this method, compost is ready in 4 months. If we come to the advantages of Indore method, no infrastructure is needed, and this process is relatively quicker than the Bangalore method. If we come to the disadvantages, in this method nutrients are lost to the soil. In this method, regular turning is needed, means this is a labor intensive process, and this process or method cannot be used in areas where heavy rainfall due to waterlogging in the pit. Conditions for use of Indore method of composting. Pit and heap is unprotected, so may need some protection from animals and children, etc. A windbreaker can be used to reduce effects of drying out. This method is very cheap as compared to tank method and no infrastructure is required. Vermicomposting. Vermicomposting is carried out using earthworms. Earthworms break down waste into vermicompost and vermicompost is ready in 3 to 4 months. If we come to the advantages, vermicomposting is more efficient than normal composting. Vermicomposting produces nutrient richer compost. Disadvantages of vermicomposting. In vermicomposting, we need vermi beds as well as earthworms, means initial investment is there. In case of vermicomposting, regular sprinkling of water is required on the vermi bed to maintain moisture, and as well as thatched structure is also required to protect the vermi beds from the sun and light directly. Conditions for use of vermicomposting. Earthworms are sensitive to temperature. Very low temperature and very high temperature may affect the growth and feeding rate of earthworms. Ultimately, this may affect the output of vermicomposting process, and we have to maintain the optimum moisture during the vermicomposting period. Another option is the biogas production using organic fraction of the solid waste. You know, biogas is produced by the decomposition of organic waste in anaerobic condition, and biogas contains methane and that methane acts as fuel. The resulting gas can be tapped and used as fuel in our kitchens or for our other domestic activities in rural areas. This process also produces a slurry, and that slurry is nutrient rich and can be used as a nutrient fertilizer or as a manure in our agricultural fields. If we come to the advantages of this biogas technology, biogas can be used as clean domestic fuel. So, ultimately this will improve the health of rural women. Slurry that is produced during the biogas production can be used as manure in agricultural fields. If we come to the disadvantages, initial investment is high to make or to construct a biogas plant, and biogas production is slower in the winters. Conditions to use biogas plant. Biogas plant can be linked to the family or community toilets, or it can be standalone type system to which wastes are added. Means in a biogas plant we can use animal dung as a raw material, as well as we can use community toilets or household toilets as a raw material source. There are many different designs that are available for biogas systems, and these designs you have already studied in the module of biogasification. Now, the choice of design will be influenced primarily by the desired capacity, the space available to install the biogas plant, the type of feed material available to the rural people, whether this is cow dung or whether this is human excreta or human waste, and the finances available to the concerned household for construction or to the concerned village panchayat for the construction. In biogas plant, waste should be added daily to ensure continuous gas production and to have continuous supply of biogas. Stoves, cookers or lamps which we use in rural areas, these must be converted to accept biogas, but the gas itself burn without order. This figure shows the pictures of different type of biogas plants. Biogas plants in India are generally of 3 different capacities. One are of family type that are having 3 to 5 cubic meter area. Second are the biogas plant that are of community type, they are having approximately 100 cubic meter area, and third one are bigger industrial plants which may have even up to 600 cubic meter area. Dear students, I will suggest you please visit any biogas plant that is existing in your vicinity and try to make a list of different kind of raw material that are used in that plant, and also try to find out that how the slurry is used or how the slurry is managed by that biogas plant holder. The second component of this module is technological options for treatment of liquid waste in rural areas. These options are beyond the scope of this module. These you will study somewhere else in the paper of wastewater treatment technologies, but I am going to give you a brief idea of these methods. This table shows different technologies that are available for wastewater treatment or liquid waste in rural areas. Let me discuss them one by one. First one is waste stabilization pond system. This is natural system, and this is a mixture of aerobic as well as of anaerobic process. In this case, the waste produced after the treatment is of medium to high quality, and the area requirement of this type of systems is 2 to 3 square meter per person. There is no electricity requirement in this method, and this method can be used all over India. Second possible technology is duckweed pond system. This system is also natural. This is aerobic in nature, and the wastewater that is produced after the treatment, that is of medium to high quality. The land requirement of duckweed pond system is 2.5 to 6 meter square per person. No electricity required in this process. It has been found that this type systems are more in use in the state of Punjab. Third system may be constructed wetlands. Constructed wetlands are also natural in nature, and these are aerobic. The wastewater that is generated after treatment is of medium quality. The land requirement is about 1.5 to 2.5 square meter per person, and no electricity requirement, but there is lesser implementation experience in India with respect to the constructed wetlands. Next method can be upflow anaerobic sludge blanket method. This method was given by Lattinga from Netherlands. This is a built type system. This is anaerobic in nature, and the quality of treated wastewater is low. The land requirement for this process is 0.1 to 0.2 square meter per person. Here electricity is required, but that is required only for the pumping. This process is in use all over India in urban areas, but there is very little experience in rural areas with respect to UASB technology. Then other process can be anaerobic baffled filter. These are built type and anaerobic in nature. The quality of treated wastewater is quite low, and the area requirement of this process is 0.2 to 0.4 square meter per person. No electricity is required, and this process is in use or can be used all over India. Then package aeration systems, these are also built type. These are a mixture of aerobic as well as anaerobic, means these are mixed type systems. The quality of treated wastewater is quite high. The area requirement for this process is 0.1 to 0.15 square meter per person, and power requirement is there about 20 to 30 kilowatt per person per year is the electricity required, and this process can be used all over India. Then extended aeration system, these are also built type, aerobic in nature. The quality of treated wastewater is high. The land requirement for this process is 0.1 to 0.2 square meter per person, and this process requires electricity to the tune of 15 to 25 kilowatt per person per year, and this process can be used all over India. Then sequencing batch reactor systems, these are built type system, aerobic in nature. The quality of treated wastewater is very high. The land requirement is 0.05 to 0.1 square meter per person. The electricity is required to the tune of 10 to 20 kilowatt per person per year, and this process can be used all over India. One more approach can be soil biotechnology. This is natural, this is aerobic in nature, the quality of treated wastewater is very high, and the area requirement for this process is 0.021 square meter per person. 40 to 50 kilowatt per MLD electricity is required to pump wastewater for distribution across the reactor bed, and this process can be used all over India. To summarize this module, in this module we have studied about the characteristics of solid and liquid waste, and we also learnt that the characteristics knowledge is very important, because based upon that we can decide that what kind of treatment option or what kind of technology can be used. Dear students, in the last two modules we have learnt about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and different technological options which are available to us for the treatment of solid and liquid waste in rural areas. I give you one assignment. You please go to a village, and in that village, based upon the waste, number one, you decide that what kind of technological options will be better for that village, and secondly, you try to find out the Swachhta index of that village based upon the formula that was given to you in the previous module. I hope you enjoyed this module. Thank you.